Good morning and welcome to everyone in the chamber and also those coming in online. Welcome to the Angus Licensing Board of the 17th of August 2023. I'll start by reminding all remote attendees to mute their microphones when not speaking, and please raise your electronic hand should you wish to speak. Please do not speak during items unless I invite you to speak. For members present, please raise your hand if you wish to speak. Thank you. We'll start with item 1, apologies for absence. Are there any apologies?
There's no apologies, Convener.
Thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest and statements of transparency. Are there any? Councillor Brays.
Yes, I think I should make a statement of transparency. On item 5, on the report concerning the Brig End Bar in Brechin, I do know the applicant quite well, but not in any sort of social sense, and I've no reason to make a formal declaration of interest. So,
thank you. Anyone else? No. I actually have one. A declaration of interest for item 5C, the Gary Inn. The owner and licensee of the Gary Inn is a personal friend, a family friend. Therefore, I will leave the meeting and obviously won't take part in any discussion on it. Thank you. Takes us on to item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. Members will have read the minutes. Can we agree them as a true record? Thank you. Takes us on to item 4, new premises licenses application. And we start with the Ferry Shop, 12 Ferry Street, Montrose, on page 15. Here we have an LSO report and a layout plan.
The applicant did say he would attend remotely, but I don't see him in the call and he's not in the lobby waiting to be admitted.
I think we'll just progress with this one. People are agreed. We are given the opportunity to attend, but for whatever reason, Mr. Sabir hasn't managed. People have read the papers. This is a request for off sales. Is there anyone? Well, there's no one here to talk to it from an application side. Anyone else like to speak to it? No? No? Sorry. Sorry, I was just dealing with an inquiry at the door.
Okay.
It's been pointed out to me that there is a question regarding capacity that probably only the applicant could answer, and the applicant isn't here. So I think what we'll do is we'll go on with the next one, and in the hope that the applicant actually can make it. So that will take us then to page 18, which is 180 East High Street, Forfar.
Good morning, good evening, Your Honours. My name is Janet Hood, I appear at the...
Janet, sorry, could you just repeat that with the button pressed?
Sorry, I'm usually able to be heard in Wick. Thank you. My name is Janet Hood and I'm appearing for the applicant. I'm a solicitor.
Thank you, Janet. Now, this application is for off sales. There is an LSA report along with plans.
May I interrupt, please, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman? The reason I'm interrupting is that I spoke to my client this morning and he advised me that he had not been able to progress the fire matters which are on to his attention. This has not been because he didn't want to do it, it's because it's been difficult to get the materials that he needs for sorting the door and sundry other things. And I have been asked to adjourn this application until the next meeting of the Licensing Board to give him an opportunity to carry out the requests made by the Fire Master.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hood. Are we happy that we defer this? Yes. Agreed? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I will just find my way on the papers here. We move then to item 5, premises licence request to vary. And we are on 5A, Glen Cadam Distillery, Smithfield Road, Brechin.
Yes, convener, Mr. Robert Fleming, the distillery manager, is here in person. Mr. Fleming. Sorry. There is also late comments from the building standards manager.
Not the late comments, so we just accept them. Have we agreed to accept the late comments from building standards? Agreed. Thank you very much.
I will email the late comments just now to all members.
Members will note that there is an LSO report attached to this application. Can I ask the applicant is there? Would you like to talk to your application, please?
Yes, my name is Robert Fleming. I'm the director of Angus Dundee Distillers, the owners of Glencadam Distillery, and we're here for the variation application for the licence for Glencadam Distillery.
Is there anything else you would like to say in support of the application or anything at this stage?
Yes, we, as a distillery, we've got premises at Glencadam where we would like to take visitors into for guided tours, and at the moment it is in the premises which were attached to the application. It's not a formal visitor centre yet because we're in the process of building a visitor centre there, which should be open by the end of next year. But in the meantime, with the interest in the distillery tours in the local area for visitors, we have decided that we would like to open up the distillery for 2 days a week for tours. However, because of the application, which was the addition of the off-sales hours, we have also got company visitors as well, which come most days of the week, and we would like to be able to sell to them as well. We did have a licence before. We had a licence for the office we've just vacated on site, and initially we thought it was just an application to transfer the stock to the new office, but we believe we had to submit a new application. So we've had a licence before for off sales, and this is just a variation.
Thank you very much. I'm having a look at this one, and I'll just check with legal on one point. Okay, I'll open up then to any questions from members of the board. Do we have any questions? Yes, Councillor Whiteside.
I'm having trouble with my internet, so I haven't seen the full thing. I've seen it on Councillor Darnow's machine. So it was a question to the applicant about the requirement for a building warrant.
The premises we're in, the premises, the new premises we built to house the new offices, we were asked to submit all plans and warrants, so I assumed that was all submitted. We had a visit from somebody quite a few weeks ago who asked for more information, and I think that must have been submitted, but I would need to check on that.
Thanks. There seems to be some query from building standards here around about that, so that would have to be clarified, I think.
Can I possibly bring in building standards? Lee, are you there?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning, yeah.
Hi. Firstly, thank you very much for accepting the late comments. It was largely due to annual leave and because of the complexities of this application. With regards to our comments, if it's okay, I'd like to provide a little further clarification, which might be helpful to the board. Generally, any building which has a significant change of use, especially where a building is currently only used by staff who are familiar with the building, which then proposes to change to allowing public access, does require a building warrant to do so. For those unsure of the process, building warrant consent in Scotland is preemptive, so therefore an application requires to be made, drawings assessed and approved, and then works that may or may not be required to take place can then take place after the building warrant is approved. Once works are complete, we would generally carry out a final site inspection to ensure that the building complies with the approved drawings and the relevant building regulations, which consists of 7 sections, one of which does include fire. So as an example here, where public are allowed access into a building at first floor, the escape stairs should be in a fire protected enclosure and should also not be an external fire escape. So the first floor of the VIP suite, as a simple example, does not look from the plan like it would comply in terms of the building regulations for escape. That is why we would generally require a building warrant, and obviously the applicant has been in touch with us and they are going through a process for a new building, a very detailed process, and that's going through fine. In this case, I'm not sure if this is a temporary situation being applied for, but in order to allow public into some of these areas, there does require to still be a building warrant in place for it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I ask Mr. Fleming, would you like to come back on that?
Yes, I'm a bit unsure as to when you mentioned the fire escape. We have in the office at the moment, we have the ground floor, which is for the staff, which has got fire exits out to the external part of the building. On the first floor, if we go across, if you don't have the plans in front, if you go across from the meeting room, you go into an open area which has a fire escape out to a roadway in the premises. So I'm not exactly sure which fire escape would be required.
You want to come back on that, Lee?
If that's okay, yeah. I don't want to complicate things too much by going into detail, but the VIP area shown here at first floor, the first floor tasting area, that doesn't have a protected stair internally, and what looks to be an external stair externally is not appropriate for public, only for staff.
Is that the one through there's an area behind the office that is going to be for, we're putting in a gin still, and that is the same floor which has a fire exit.
I think that's possibly the other building from what I'm referring to.
It should be the same building. It's all one building.
There's just a single room at first floor on the plan I've got in the papers.
Can I bring in Councillor Whiteside for a moment?
Thank you, Convener. It sounds like building standards and the applicant maybe need to get together on site to discuss it further, but I wonder if we can deal with the licensing requirements subject to appropriate building warrants being approved.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. So there obviously are some technical issues that need to be resolved, as Councillor Whiteside said, and if you can get together and sort them out, but it doesn't stop us progressing with the application. Can I ask members of the board, do you have any questions or any further questions? No? Can maybe ask a question? It's on the size of the tours. Can you maybe just clarify the sort of numbers that you were talking about?
Yeah, we can only hold a maximum of 8 people in the meeting room. The meeting room is going to be where the tasting is going to be held. Also, Glencadam Distillery is quite an old distillery, nearly 200 years old, and it's not really conducive to have huge bus parties coming round all at one time. So we're restricting them at the moment to 8 per tour, and at the moment probably 2 tours per day.
The reason I ask is on the application or on the papers it says from the report from the LSO no larger than 12. So is that?
Yeah, there won't be. No, we can't hold more than 8 in that room anyway. It's the same meeting room that where we're conducting the meeting area, and the tasting is going to be the same area we have our normal distillery meetings. So it can only hold 8 people.
Thank you. Do members have any comments? Yes, Councillor Braze.
Yes, thanks, Convener. I think the principle of what's being proposed here is entirely acceptable to me. It's quite common for this sort of thing to be happening in distilleries, and in fact, I think it'll be a huge asset and a tourist draw for the city of Brechin, and subject to everything being in place according to what we require, I would suggest that this go ahead.
Thank you, Councillor Braze. Any other comments? Yes, Councillor Nicholl.
I've got to agree with my colleague, Councillor Braze. I think this is going to be a great asset for Brechin, and once the planning and warrants are sorted out, it should be no problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Just, yeah, I would like to agree with Councillor Braze and Councillor Nicholl. Personally, I'm looking forward to next year when you open the full thing, but that'll be fabulous. What an asset it'll be to Brechin. So yeah, just I have no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Anyone else? No? Thank you. Before we progress, there is a note on from legal people note regarding mandatory condition 13 regarding display of promotion of the sale of alcohol for consumption of the premises. And you'll see there, sorry, it's on page 35, that at the premises, where the premises form part of a larger site which is used principally for the production of alcoholic drinks, or the visitor attraction is used principally to provide information about and promote the history and attributes of a particular alcoholic drink or a particular category, they would be exempt from that. Do we agree that this is such a premises? Yes. Is that unanimous? Yes? Okay. We can then move on then to the recommendations, which I will have to find. Bear with me. And the recommendations are: 1, to grant the application subject to statutory conditions and any other variations. 2, defer the application to the next licensing board, or to refuse the application on one or more of the grounds referred to in paragraph 4. Can I ask for motions? Councillor Whiteside.
I recommend the first option, subject to the relevant building warrants being obtained.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any amendments? So are we unanimous? Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Fleming. With those conditions, it is granted.
Okay. Thank you to
Thank
Chair.
you.
Thank you, Committee. Thank you.
Okay, we can now go back, if that's okay with members, to item 4A, ferry stop, 12 Ferry Street, Montrose. Understand now that Mr. Sabir is actually with us.
He's in the remotely in
Oh,
the
he's
meeting.
remotely with us, okay.
Convener.
This one is off sales and an LSO report and layout plan are attached. Mr. Sabir, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can hear you. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clear. Would you like to talk to your application for the board? Hello, Mr. Sabir.
Hi, I can hear you. Yes.
Would you like to talk to the board about your application?
Yes, hiya. It's just in regards to a premises license for a shop, obviously, which exists already. There's a news agent, and then we would like to add alcohol sales as well into the existing shop.
Thank you very much. I'm looking here and it appears that the LSO doesn't have any issues. There is a plan. Now on this plan, we have, and someone will keep me right technically if I don't get this right, we have the plan showing us some of the dimensions of the shop, i.e. we see the width of cabinets, but we don't actually see the height. So it's not possible for us to actually check any of the dimensions. We only have, as I said, the width, but no plan with the height. Bear with me one moment. Yeah, if we can maybe get legal to clarify for members and others. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you. Yes, there is a legal requirement that the plan provides certain dimensions, and whilst most of the dimensions are actually shown, if members have the plan in front of them, there are cabinets which are two cabinets which are shown green, which only have the frontage shown, which don't have the depth. In theory, we should also have the height of all cabinets. However, what this translates to is that we're unable to clarify the capacity, and the capacity shown is 59 metres square, and so members may wish to request further information with respect to this.
Can I possibly comment on that?
Yes, please.
I did just got a phone call from obviously the licensing yesterday. There has been a mistake in the 59 meter, the figure the lady just mentioned. The actual figure of the alcohol area would be 3.17 square meters combined area for alcohol display.
Sorry, can I just clarify what that capacity was?
3.17 square meters of alcohol display.
Are you able to confirm the depth of the two cabinets which only have dimensions shown?
I can, just if you give me 1 sec, I'll calculate actual figures.
Thank you.
Sorry, Convener. The plans I'm looking at on page 17, it's got here in red, combined area for alcohol display 5.29 metres squared. Different area figures that we've now got. So just to clarify exactly on this point, thank you.
Yeah, there still appears to be discretion there, 5.29 and 3. But we'll give the applicant a couple of minutes to get back to us.
Yeah. P for the units would be 0.75 meter. So it's 750 millimeters basically for the depth.
Sorry, can you repeat that? 0.7, was it?
0.75 meters, yes.
Yeah.
Councillor Nicholl.
To obtain the square meterage, you're going to need the frontage and the height, not the depth. The depth would then bring you into cube meters as opposed to square meters. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Now we have the width, don't we? So what we want is the height.
The height, can I possibly comment, please?
Yes, please.
The height would be 2.1 meters of the chillers and the shelving as well.
Thank you very much. Can anyone quickly calculate that?
5.25.
And it said 5.29. Yeah. Is that all? Can I ask, are you confirming it's 5.29?
Yes, I think that's what's been submitted by the architect. That's right, yeah.
Okay,
Apologies for the miscarriage.
Okay, thank you very much. Are we? Okay, patience on this one. Since we have confirmation of the 5.29 or thereabouts, and we know now the depth, I think we would be happy to accept that. So that gets us over that first hurdle. Can I then move then to any questions from members of the board? Any comments from the board? Can I then invite motions? Councillor Fotheringham.
Thank you, Convener. For me, this is straightforward, and we've now got the capacity confirmed, so I would just move that we grant this application. Thank you.
Is that unanimous? Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Your application has been accepted, approved and granted.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now. Back on to Bridge and Bar.
43.
We move now to page 40. Licence number 134, the Bridge End Bar, 45 River Street, Brechin. And we have the applicant Scott Robert McNeil, and it's for on-off sales. There is an LSO, Environmental Consumer Protection and Building Standards have commented, and they are set out below with plans. Is the applicant here?
Yes, Mr McNeil's in person and wishes to board.
And the other?
Mrs McNeil.
Okay. Thank you very much and welcome. Can I ask, would you like to present to the board?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Since we took back the Bridge End Bar from tenants at the start of COVID, it's been quite a journey. We've built a bit of a thing that we can't really predict what's going to happen next, as in COVID was there, so we did everything we could to make things good for COVID, with fresh air, etc., etc. Hence, we took as much advice for the building control side of it, but was unable to get out of the applications, which is pretty much progressed. I think the plans should be there and submitted before too long. When it comes to the music side of it, we did build a stage because, again, we built it with the fact that we didn't know at that time how long COVID would go on, so that was a facility that we just built. We left it in our application solely because we have a Harley-Davidson festival in that street usually every year. It's not happening for a few, unfortunately. But the main stage is always located about 4 metres off where we would have had our stage. So that was sort of solely built to run alongside that event. What really the place has transpired now, we're more meal driven. It's turned into more a restaurant than a bar. It's proved in our eyes unbelievably popular. We can't believe how well it's went, and we've had to keep adapting. So when it comes to background music, I understand the board's positions on no music at all. I'm quite happy that the stage, the live music doesn't happen. As I say, that was solely left for the Harley-Davidson event. But background music outside, we've built it in exactly the same way as we did the pub, so the restaurant. So there's no speakers having to amplify distance. There's small speakers all the way around the garden, so that can be kept at a very low level, and it's just amplified. It's just there for their enjoyment. The only note I would put onto that is we're right next to the busy main road with traffic lights at the bridge, and what I find with that is, and it's just a point of note and maybe not relevant, but whenever a lorry goes by, it is miles louder than what our background music is. But I'd welcome anybody or any test if anybody wants to see that. That's where it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I open up to board members if they have any questions on this application? For Dunno.
Thanks, Convener. I only have one question, and it's just relevant to the fact that now you're saying that you want the children to be able to access more areas. As you pointed out yourself, you are right on that busy main road. That's the only concern I have, is because we've had other publicans and other places that are near main roads, and they've put on like sort of gates or anything, because obviously I see the pub when I drive home as well, and you know, toddlers, you know, if they're running about, they could just go right out that gate and be right on the road. That's the only concern that I have. I know that the LSO has it, but I was thinking that would be something I'd want to consider as a gate or something to keep the kids in, you know. Thanks.
Certainly address that.
Can I maybe, before I take any other questions, move
Sorry.
to... Can I maybe, I think I maybe missed out environmental consumer protection and building standards. Give them a shout and then you come in with more questions. All right, okay, thank you. Can I ask environmental and consumer protection if they have anything to say on this application?
Good morning, Convener. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, we had asked the applicants to submit a noise management plan, in particular in relation to the external areas. So they have done that, but we have asked that the standard additional conditions are applied. These are applied across, you know, many other places in Angus. And I see that the Licensing Standards Officer has also duplicated those conditions on page 45 of the report. The conditions are that patrons shall not be permitted to use the external drinking area beyond 9 o'clock at night. No music shall be provided in the external drinking area, and no music of amplified sound should be provided anywhere within the licensed premises with the intention of being heard within the external drinking area. These are standard conditions applied to other premises in Angus.
Thank you very much for that. Can I now ask building standards if they have anything on the application?
Yes, thank you, Convener. Yeah, just to confirm what's in the papers, really. A completion certificate where no warrant was obtained is required. Mr McNeill has been in touch with us, and it is quite a simple application in our terms. So once he makes the application, we can hopefully fast track it and get that over the line for him.
Thank you very much. I'll now move back from members of the board. Yes.
Hi there, Mr McNeill, Councillor Clark.
Sorry,
It's
Councillor Clark.
okay, it's no problem. Just delighted to hear what you're saying there and about your music and everything that's happening, that's good. Just wanted to ask, taken from my colleagues, about the standards that you have to meet for music, etc. And I was just thinking about the Harley Davidson thing, which is a great thing. You know, we need these things in Scotland. Would there be a music issue, noise level with that at that particular thing? Are you thinking? Because I'm just thinking. The rest of the time is covered, but that particular event.
Just relating to that Harley Davidson weekend. I think it's been done successfully for a few years now, and what the way I was working with the Harleys at the time before it got cancelled was that they were going to have something on their main stage, and then I was going to have something and let them, so that it worked back and forward. We felt if we left that in, and as I say, for a start, it was based on COVID. We didn't know, so we just built it when we were building things. But we put that in our noise management plan, so we didn't need to come and ask for it. Or we weren't breaking any rules at the time instead of just going ahead with it. So that's.
Thanks, Mr McNeill.
I'm now bringing Councillor Melville.
Thanks, Convener, and thanks, Mr McNeill, for speaking to us. The 3 conditions that have been suggested that are standard conditions, have you had sight of those? And can I just confirm, are you happy to accept those, or are you arguing for a different position?
I'm basically happy to accept them, but the bit, if I'm being totally honest, I don't understand is not being able to provide background music. That as I say, if I don't know, one of the noise control things, but the level, because it's a restaurant, it would do my business no good to blaring background music. That would just ruin that totally. It would ruin your experience. So I think it provides something pretty special there, and I'm very lucky we got it right. And as I say, the road, in my eyes, actually provides more noise than what I would ever. So it's hard for me to accept, although I will, if that's the way, I will accept it. It's hard for me to accept that we may cause public nuisance by our music versus what the road is doing just now.
Convener, I wonder if I can just have a supplementary there, if that's all right.
Yes, that's fine.
It's not to the applicant, but it's to environmental, and it's whether or not they would be prepared to engage with the owners of the Bridge End Bar to conduct some testing in that area to see what the mitigation between the noise of the road and the noise of the music might be, just in terms of getting the balance of this right. I wonder if that's possible.
Can we have a comment on that?
Noise control is not my specialism. I would have to ask one of our noise environmental health officers, but I think on the basis that there would be so much other background noise, you can't really filter out the road noise compared to the music noise. I'm not sure that we would be able to get meaningful results from tests.
Thank you. I'll now bring in Councillor Whiteside.
Thank you, Convener. It seems to me like there's a difference between amplified music and what we're talking about here, which would be the sort of thing you would maybe have in your own garden that wouldn't disturb your neighbours. But I don't know if we can make that distinction, but it seems sensible to me.
Councillor Bray.
Yes, thanks, Convener, and thanks, Mr McNeill. I do worry a wee bit about this because it seems that we have a set of standard conditions, and I'd be a bit unhappy forcing them on this particular business. And surely there should be flexibility in those conditions to allow someone to have music outdoors in their area that's not going to be annoying anyone, because as the applicant has said, he has had to adapt his business over the years, and I would assume, Mr McNeill, that if you had not been able to adapt your business over many years to suit what was going on, you wouldn't have a business anymore.
That's 110% yes. Can I just state it's not in our interest at all to have any kind of banging music. It just wouldn't. The business is growing and growing, and it's still growing yet. And I can far it's getting too much work for us, to be honest. But it's just something that's a special place when you come and sit and have a meal. It almost gives you the taste, and that's what we try to create, because people couldn't go abroad or in at the time, and often when you're abroad you can get outside, served a meal, nice background music in some of the places, and that's what we've tried to create at the Brig End, and thankfully it's worked. The Scottish weather doesn't help us a lot, but hence the reason that bands outside wouldn't really work, because you have to plan so far in advance. If it's raining, it would totally. So that's kind of where we are.
Thank you. I have a question or two. Just in relation, just to clarify in the operating plan, 1D, amend Sunday opening, it begins, add outdoor drinking facilities within and out with core hours. I take it that doesn't mean alcohol, out with core hours.
Well,
do members of the board see that? Yeah. We're on page, there must be 43, and it's operating plan 1D.
Convener, just if I can, I think in terms of the way that might be interpreted as it's the facilities themselves, the outdoor drinking facilities, that, as in the outdoor tables and things, that can be used within and out with core hours, rather than them being used for drinking alcohol out with core hours. I think that's the way that I certainly read it, but I don't know about other members of the board.
Can I ask the applicant, can you clarify what that actually means? Add outdoor drinking facilities within the within and out with core hours. Does that mean just the tables there, or does it actually mean drinking alcohol?
Well, it was really just put in that if we've got a christening or whatever coming on a Sunday, that it is sometimes confusing that it's 12 o'clock or 12:30 that we started.
Yeah, but are you saying starting what? Drinking alcohol or drinking juice?
Drinking alcohol.
Right. You will be aware that alcohol would only be permitted during the allowed hours. You can't.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's not what your explanation is of that.
Right. I've confused it.
Convener, sorry to cut in here. We may have strayed off the path on this. I think it is the tables and the chairs that will be available for use within and out with core hours. Outdoor drinking is the area itself rather than the actual act of drinking. Is certainly the way that I've read it. Given what the applicant has said, that they know that alcohol consumption can only happen within core hours. That appears to be the interpretation I have in front of me. So I think this is actually fairly straightforward.
I hear what you're saying, Councillor Melville, but I asked the applicant actually said it was drinking alcohol out with the hours.
I certainly didn't hear that, Convener, but...
I suppose in a sense it doesn't matter because legally you could only do it during the hours anyway, so... Sorry, you didn't hear that because I didn't have my mic on, or people outside didn't hear that. The next question I have is on item 2, activities out with core hours, and it's the second sentence, recorded music may be played both within and out with core hours. To tell us what that means?
I think we made a mistake on that application there, because it would only be in core hours that would be in that, so I apologise for that.
That's fine. Thank you very much for the explanation. I think that's all I've got. Can I maybe open it up then to board members? Do you have any questions?
Yes, thanks, Convener. And it goes back to this music being played outside. In the sort of outside garden area. Are we able to grant this and allow the applicant to play music outside after consulting with environmental to find out what a suitable maximum level of music should be? Are we able to do that?
Can I have a comment on that?
Basically, because I think the applicant should be allowed to play music that's not annoying anyone.
Could I make a comment on that?
Yes, you can comment.
Again, as I say, I would quite happily stand by that. If I had any noise complaint at all, that would be the end of it. Just so.
Thank you. Councillor Whiteside.
Yeah, I was just going to ask the applicant, thanks for clarifying that. So I was just going to ask if you had good relationship with the neighbours presently, but I presume you do because you've been operating successfully.
Thank you. Councillor Scott.
I was just going to say, having walked past the bridge end with the dog, you cannot hear any music. I've also sat and had my dinner in there, and which was lovely, thank you. And again, it is just, you know, it is background music, because we were able to sit and chat at the table. If it was any louder than that, then, you know, you wouldn't be able to hear each other.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Any other questions? Any comments?
Yeah, thanks, Convener. I think just echoing what Councillor Scott said, I've also had my dinner at the Bridge End Bar, and it was fairly recently, and it was also incredibly nice. The third condition about the music of amplified sound, it strikes me that the background music that is currently being played does not meet the test of amplified sound, and therefore would not be captured by this condition. So I don't think applying this condition they would have anything necessarily to fear about that from my own experience. However, that's where we are. So that's the only comment I wanted to make. This seems fairly straightforward to me.
Thank you, Convener. I think quite a lot of this has come down to about the music and the music levels, and then as per the conditions on page 45, which are part of the current licensing policy, I think for the new licensing policy this really needs to be looked at, because every licence that we do, we're judging it on its individual merits. But this premises, you can see in the pictures on page 47, yes, it is in a residential area, but for the actual location of the premises in relation to the residential area is quite a distance. And also, this premises looks right out onto one of the main roads coming in and out of Brechin. So I think if we apply a little bit of common sense type scenario to it, we can sort of see, yeah, it is a residential area, but with it just being background music, it's not going to have, well, I think quite a lot of the time you'll probably struggle to hear the background music over the levels of the traffic coming across the bridge. So perhaps within our next licensing policy, we want to include some sort of measure to do with sound and for external sound, so that it's not just a blanket ban, but we take each place on its merit. And I think this is a prime example of where, as Councillor Braze and others have said, that I would certainly be quite happy to allow it, and I think that generally the rest of the board would. But if the conditions are in the current policy that we can't, then as Councillor Braze said, can we adapt and can we change that? I think that's something that we should be able to look at and do.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe a separate subject, but yes, I think that's something we could look at. Any other comments from members? Okay, can I then request motions, please? Sorry, Councillor Melville.
Yes, thanks, Convener. I would move that we grant this application subject to the conditions which, again, to my mind, currently fit the operating model of the business, and therefore there should be nothing for the business to fear on that. Sorry, I just want to clarify that when you've said subject to conditions. Which conditions? The three standard outdoor operating conditions as outlined in the LSO's report, which the applicant has said that they would be prepared to accept. So that's no amplified music? Yes, but we have discussed that the music as currently played is not currently meeting the amplified music test. So that is the position that I'm... I'm not, well, I think as we apply the conditions, I don't think it's for us to decide what level it's at. That would be for some other professional. We can't say whether it meets or amplified music. To me, for instance, if you have an amplifier or a speaker outside, to me that's amplified music. But it might not be to someone else. But I think if we grant it, just to be clear, if we grant it with the conditions, we're granting it with the conditions. Still your motion, yeah? Okay, and we have a seconder, Councillor Clark.
I would like to second that, Chair.
Okay, any amendments? No? Have we agreed then? Is that unanimous?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Your application has been granted with the conditions.
Right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We move on to... It's item 5C, which is the Gary Inn. And at this point, I will leave the meeting and get myself a drink of water. Thank you.
Really, I should have brought my name. Okay, thanks everybody. As you'll have noticed, I am not George Meekin or the convener, but it is nice to be in front of you all. Anyway, we move on to item 5C, which is licence number 18, the Gary Inn, 1 to 3 Schoolwind, Kirriemuir, and it is report LB 41/23. Do we have the applicant with us?
Yes, Vice Convener, Mrs Jameson is present and wishes to address the board. The LSO has also pointed out that there is a possible, if the board's minded to grant this, outdoor conditions to be considered.
Welcome. Would you like to speak to your application, please?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My application is for a major variation to the Gary Inn to allow children and young persons onto the premises, and also for an extension to our beer garden licence, as at the moment our beer garden licence is only until 7 p.m, and we would like to extend it to 9 p.m. Since COVID, everyone's been struggling, and we have turned away recently quite a few functions. People, we had a 60th birthday party inquiry, and we had to turn it down because they had grandchildren, and also christenings, people that are regular customers in our pub, and they've had their children and they want to have the christening in the pub, but we can't do it.
Okay, thanks very much on that. We have received comment from Environmental Health. Does anyone from Environmental Health want to speak to those comments, or are they happy to submit them as read?
I'm happy for those to just be submitted as read.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll move over now, I think, to board members. Do any board members have any questions for the applicant? Oh, Councillor Durno.
Thanks, Convener. Your conditions for outside, obviously this will be for all year round, but you'll not be planning to be outside in the dark Oh, yeah.
No, not at all.
I just thought coming at this time of year, it'll be more for the
No.
Okay, thanks very much. Do any other board members have any questions on this? I do, and it's just a point of clarification. Have you seen the standard conditions outlined in the LSO report? And can I just clarify for the context of the board that the first condition, which is that patrons shall not be permitted to use the external drinking areas beyond 7 p.m, that's being amended to 9 p.m? Indeed, excellent, okay. I will therefore move on to comments. Do any board members have any comments? Councillor Whiteside.
Thank you, Vice Convener. It seems fairly straightforward. It's bringing the premises into line with others in the area, so I don't see any issues with this at all.
Councillor Braze.
Yes, thank you, Convener. I think you know we're all aware that that Scotland does have certain issues with its relationship with alcohol, and that's why we have pretty tough licensing laws. But you know, we have to move the whole culture surrounding drink into something much more like what you see in the continent. We have to start moving in that direction where it's appropriate to do so, and I think in this case it is entirely appropriate to do so. And as we heard in the previous application, these businesses have to be able to adapt to survive. So that I think we should go ahead with this. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further comments? Councillor Fotheringham.
Thank you, Vice Convener. No, I would just agree with my two colleagues, Councillors Whiteside and Braze. I know this premise reasonably well when I was a former employee of Royal Mail in Kirriemuir for quite a number of years. Well run. As the LSO has said, there's no issues with it. And as Councillor Whiteside has already touched on, Vice Convener, this is bringing it into line with the rest of the outdoor drinking areas across Angus. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Before I move on to motions, I will give the applicant a chance to sum up if you wish.
I'd like to say thank you.
I've just been drawn to my attention that there is a typo in the LSO report at number 3, which is on page 52 of the combined papers. It says no music of amplified sound. It should of course read no music or amplified sound. So are you happy to accept that?
Yes, can I just say we don't have music outside at all.
Perfect, thanks for that clarification. With that covered then, I would like to turn to motions. Do any members of the board have a motion to bring? Councillor Fotheringham.
Thank you, Vice Convener. As I said before, my two colleagues have said, this is straightforward. I would just move that we grant with the conditions. Thank you.
And a seconder? I see Councillor Braze. No comment to make?
No, just no reason not to grant this. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to that motion? I don't detect any, so are we agreed, therefore, to grant this application subject to the conditions outlined in the LSO report?
Agreed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.
I will now depart the chair.
John, could you maybe pause the live stream for just a few minutes till we get the convener back in?
We now move to item D, licence number 415, Gin Experience, Kirkwine Glams Village by Forfar. The applicant is the Gin Bothy Limited and it's for off sales. I see we have Mrs. Hood, who is going to be talking to this application. Thank you, Mrs. Hood.
The first time ever they have, in my experience, the gin bothy has managed to break into America and is selling their products in the States. This is highly unusual for something that started off literally as a very small business within Angus, and it has a lot to say for yourselves that you have encouraged this business to move forward. The next part of the moving forward is to open an exhibition centre and tasting rooms and to increase the visitor centre shop, showcasing 1, the history of the locality and Scotland's craft skills, 2, the sale of craft alcohol and the skills involved in that. And they have other products and comestibles, branded gifts, books and other goods appropriate to the visitor centre. I've treated myself to soap. They've got all sorts of fabulous things there. They include alcohol, obviously, for delivery to the public. That's already been granted, and trade via online and telephone sales in accordance with the off-sales and delivery policy. The tastings that they're planning to do can be free. They're already happening in the shop. They were approved by Your Honour's predecessors, and or they can be pre-booked, paid for as part of the bothy experience. And they hope that just to let the public sit in the external courtyard area. What happens occasionally is people come along with their families, they want to sit outside in nice weather, bring their own picnics, even buy some of the food from the store. They've got lovely, well, you can see I eat tablet, but things like that, which is generally well loved. They want to add in on sales for paid for tastings from 11 o'clock until 10 at night. Most of these, in fact, all of these will be pre-booked. They want to extend the visitor centre exhibition and retail centre, and it's absolutely lovely. If you could use the word cosy for a business, this is exactly what this is. It's tartan, it's Scottish. They've got big screens up showing the area. They show where they get the various ingredients from to make the gins and other spirituous liquors. And they want to add in receptions and club meetings, because I think it'd be a lovely place to go with a few girlfriends, say, or even have a small wedding. I mean, these things do happen nowadays. They want to have live performances. Now, we're not talking about the Rolling Stones coming. They're probably talking about a folk singer coming to sing a lovely Scottish song to do with the areas. Theatre, because again, there are small plays that are travelling showmen who go around and do that. And film will be restricted to information concerning the history and nature of spirit making, and it'll be about spirit making and this area. We're not talking about opening a cinema. They want to have access by children and young persons to the tasting areas. They're already obviously in the shop if they're accompanied by an adult. But of course, no under 18 will be permitted to taste alcohol, and Challenge 25 will of course obtain. In the layout areas, you can see the additions to everything, and there are no capacity required for the off sales, because this is, in terms of the legislation, a visitor attraction used principally to provide information about and to promote the history and attributes of a particular alcoholic drink or a particular category of alcoholic drink. And that has been already approved by Your Honours for the existing shop, and I'm asking you to continue that for the new shop. This gives them the freedom to move products about, to showcase other things which go with the products, and to keep everything working in the manner which they have been accustomed to work for the last few years. I was told only yesterday that they had appeared on Country File, which is one of my favourite programmes. This apparently has been absolutely superb. One, of course, it boosted the business, but 2, Country File boosts the area, and to have something like that coming in is absolutely superb in my view for Angus, and I move the grant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hood. Can I open it up to board members? Councillor Braze.
Yes, thanks, convener, and thanks, Mrs. Hood. I was just wondering, do you actually have a qualification and background in marketing, or just a natural flair for it?
Thank you very much for asking that. No, I don't. I'm a simple lawyer. Thank you.
Councillor Whiteside.
Thank you, convener, and thank you, Mrs. Hood. As you say, it is a success story for the area. I'm just wondering if the issues raised by building standards have now been clarified, and maybe you could help us with that.
Sorry, I didn't believe there were any particular. Understanding is that they have a building warrant and a completion certificate.
With that, then, can I ask building standards if they have anything to say on the application?
Yeah, thank you, convener, and good morning, Janet. There was 3 points. Technically, I didn't provide comment on this one because I am not sure somebody can clarify for me, but one of the reasons we are consulted are to check the occupancy capacity for on sales. And my understanding was this is a change to on sales in this case. So the plan itself doesn't appear to have any occupancy capacity. The documentation doesn't seem to have any for each of the spaces included internally or externally. And also there does seem to be two differing layout plans, one with 4 toilets, one with only 1. Now I believe there's 4, but it was just I was not sure by the plans provided to us. Okay.
Mrs. Hood.
There are 4 toilets and plans were provided. I wonder, I can't give you an explanation as to why they are not in the pack. I think we have had some issues, which I think can be confirmed by staff here, with parts of application going missing when they have been presented to the authority. Understanding is that the outside area is not really an area when part of the alcohol consumption area, therefore you don't require to have a capacity for that. And the small areas are 12 for each of the small rooms which people will be able to sit in and have tastings. I mean, they're actually really very small. I imagine that there'll probably be no more than 8 sitting comfortably, but 12 is the size which people could sit in round a table. The other areas in which alcohol will not be shown, but which form part of the exhibition centre, people will go in and out of them. There is no requirement to supply capacity for that. I'm dreadfully sorry if this plan has gone missing, and it will be sent in again, because my understanding was, and I do apologise for this, it could easily be my error, that that had been sent in at the time of the application, and that will be done this afternoon.
Thank you, Mrs. Hood. Building standards, is that okay?
Yeah, a very quick glance at the plans. I think a maximum of 12 for each of the tasting areas should be okay. I would like a little bit of time just to check that by calculation, but other than that, I suspect it should be fine.
I'm quite happy to work with Lee on numbers. We've done this on more than one occasion. We have a good working relationship, I think, Lee, and I'm quite happy to take whatever Lee determines in terms of capacity there, and that will then be put in the plan, which may not come back this afternoon because Lee will have to do her calculations. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I then open up to questions? And Councillor Dunno first.
Morning, Mrs. Hood. Just to ask, with the children now being able to access more areas, is the toilets in that area, have they got the child facilities for changing, etc.?
Yes, they do.
Any other questions? Any comments? Councillor Fotheringham.
Thank you, convener. I know this business very well. Mrs. Hood is absolutely correct. I saw it myself on Country File a few years ago. It's a very, very busy business that employs quite a number of people too. I have no issue with this at all. It's all within our policy and subject to Mrs. Hood getting the stuff to Lee with the capacities. I don't see any reason why we can't grant this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Melville.
Yes, thanks, Convener. I want to agree wholeheartedly with Councillor Fotheringham. I have not been to Jinbothy yet, but I have seen it in airports before, which does show the really good ambassadorial role that businesses like this have for Angus. And I think, Mrs Hood, you touched on this in your remarks, that the food and drink sector that we have here in Angus is something that we need to support because it is so world class. And an attraction like this that is being spoken about here, I think, could bring a lot to Angus, particularly those from further afield who will then hopefully stay and enjoy the rest of what we have to offer. So I'm very happy to support this, and I don't see any issues whatsoever.
Any other comments? No? Thank you. A note on this one as well, if we just find it, from legal, there's a mandatory condition 13. Are we agreed, Mrs Hood presented on that, are we agreed that that's fine? Agreed. Agreed. Thank you. I'll now call for motions. Councillor Whiteside.
I'd like to suggest that we approve this application.
And seconder, Councillor Melville.
Nothing further to add.
Any amendments? We agreed then unanimously to grant this application. Thank you very much, Mrs Hood.
Thank you very much, Convener, Your Honours. My clients will be absolutely delighted, and thank you to Lee for agreeing to come back to me on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now move to item 6, premises licence, the Millgate Bar, 3 Millgate Arbroath. Is the applicant present?
There's no one present for this application, Convener.
Okay, thank you. Just bear with me. This one appears fairly simple. It's a revocation of a licence. I understand the licence was held by a company which was dissolved some time ago. Would that be correct? Yes. Okay. So there's no one here, obviously, to talk about it because the company's not here anymore. So I presume it just moves to motion, and basically, I would move that we revoke the licence. Agreed? Unanimously? Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, moving on to page 76. Forgot my microphone again. Agenda item 9, premises licence, minor variations, delegated approvals. Do we agree to note these delegated approvals? Agreed. Thank you. Moving to page 79. Again, delegated approvals, confirmation of provisional premises licences. Do we agree to note these delegated approvals? Agreed. Thank you. Page 81. Again, delegated approvals for extended hours. Do we agree to note these approvals? Agreed. Thank you. We'll now, I'll just make a statement before we move on. Members, I would suggest that the live stream be stopped prior to consideration of the following item, so as to avoid the possible disclosure of sensitive information. The meeting will however, remain open to the public to attend in person. Is this agreed? Thank you.
John, sorry, John, could you stop the live stream? And that's the stream stopped for the board completely.